Many years ago in rural Appalachia and coal country lived a cluster of families on a holler. Jim and Betty owned a mobile home and had their daughter Kirsten with them. This mobile home was 2 bedrooms and 1 bathroom, but it was sufficient enough for shelter. During the middle 1980s, a recession hit Appalachia hard, and Jim found work in another part of the country. In moving, he approached Larry and Tilda to look after the mobile home and collect rent for anyone that wanted to lease the mobile home. A rent amount was agreed to and would be adjusted for inflation and the cost of living for the area. The money was to be deposited into a savings account except for the money needed for necessary repairs and receipts kept. Jim and Betty trusted their siblings with this and moved, trusting that this money would be part of their retirement fund. I was privy to these conversations but did not pay that much attention to them at the time. Another few years pass, and Tilda dies. Jim and Betty attend the funeral, and Betty makes a gesture to assist with some of the expenses. Larry agrees, and Betty requests access to the savings account that should have at least tens of thousands of dollars by this point, not including interest, to only find out it has never existed. All of the paperwork has been fraudulent and forged. Remember that tax receipt? Another forgery. Betty refused to fight. She had just lost her sister. Still, Jim is livid, as my Sonny was always abusive to me, and to find out she had been living off my parents for free while receiving Section 8 for rent and getting food stamps sent me over the edge on top of the missing retirement funds. Revenge. So knowing everything was fraudulent from the beginning, Jim and I attempted legal means first to get revenge on this thief. We were met with walls of red tape and with states separating us. It was an uphill battle with a slim chance of winning. Plus, the attorney fees would drain any winnings and then more. First, I put my piece into action. Against Sonny, I filed claims of fraud against the Section 8 anonymously and SNAP benefits, given that there was absolutely no proof of rent being paid to the homeowner or the custodian. Larry was stupid enough not to write out a fraudulent receipt for when his daughter lived there. Next, I filed against Larry for tax evasion and social security fraud, since Sonny was claiming to be paying him the rent money via Section 8. This was income. Since he was not claiming this income on his tax forms, he was double dipping into the social security system and avoiding paying taxes. I did the same for the time Mike was paying rent. Although he did not claim government benefits, he just paid rent. The next stage was to notify their local church about the shady dealings with family. Their faith is big on lay ministers and credibility. I told anyone and everyone I could from the church directory about what had happened. I even showed the fake tax receipt. The last bit was the most nefarious. After ensuring that Larry was visiting Sonny and the house he owned was empty, a rented car was used, and while Betty drove, Jim used a .22 rifle to shoot holes in the roof, the AC compressor, the garage doors, and anything that was laying in the yard not immediately noticeable. We wanted the burn to last so no windows were shot out or anything evident from the start showed. Aftermath. Sonny is now being investigated for multiple charges of fraud. Her side business has been closed due to the sweeping allegations that money will not be allocated as intended. Her applications for small business loans and covered funds have been denied. Criminal charges are being whispered, but I do not think anything will come about with that portion. Larry has been found guilty of overpayment by the Social Security Administration and no longer receives benefits. He now lives with Sonny and no longer has his truck, camper, boat, or ATVs. Unfortunately, once again, criminal charges are not pending. Larry Jr. has moved into the old home that was shot up. The roof had several places where hail or other debris punched through and made it leak. The siding had similar damage. Some of the bullets, and they finally figured out what it was, pierced some of the old PVC plastic plumbing. He has spent a fortune fixing the roof, plumbing, and siding where a lot of little holes were. I do not know if he has tried the AC yet, and I will be delighted to find out if it malfunctions as severely as I hope. TLDR. Uncle steals parents' retirement fund and benefits his kids. We report to authorities and leave him in massive debt and a shot-up home.